guys, welcome back to Allison Unfiltered. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what episode we're in, or I think we're in the 40s now. That's so awesome. We've almost made it a year. Listen, I want to tell you all thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Just thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my story and just kind of have, I don't know, a place to do it. I think that's been one of the most freeing experiences of this is getting to just do this and have the freedom to, I don't know, say what I want to say. So what I want to touch on today is something that went down this week. And it wasn't something that necessarily went down. It was just something that happened. And I hate misunderstandings, right? And I haven't put a lot of, I don't know, maybe I have put a little bit of thought into this, but it prompted me. I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago about parental fails, and I had someone on my Facebook so nicely remind me of some more of my parental fails. Why people need to feel the need to try and humiliate someone publicly blows my mind. I'm almost 50 years old. I thought we were done with elementary and junior high, right? High school. So I feel like, in that in the movie 8 Mile, right? And Eminem's on stage, he's on stage and he's rapping and they're cutting him down and he's losing. And then all of a sudden he comes back and he spills like all the bad shit on himself and then drops the mic, and his opponent, I don't remember who it was, but his opponent, it's one of my favorite movies, by the way, but his opponent didn't have anything to say because Rabbit had just spilled the beans on everything. So there was nothing more that they could give him shit about or razz him about, right? And that like reminded me of this situation, and I was like, okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about some of my major parental fails. And maybe if I put it out there for others, uh, then other people won't see such a need or feel such a need to do it again, maybe. I don't know, right? I don't know. Like, hell hath no fury like the scorn of a woman, right? Apparently I pissed one of my friends off uh, that was we've been friends since we were 18 years old. Uh, it's a little crazy. So I've had to block her from everything. And maybe at some point we'll get on the phone and have a conversation, but to deliberately try to uh, defamate somebody's character is just shitty. Have a private conversation if your feelings are hurt, but put your big girl panties on. So I'm going to touch on a couple of things that she said. Now, mind you, I was a recovering drug addict. At 20 years old, I'd been clean for 3 months when I found out I was pregnant. Just because I was clean doesn't mean that I was already the most responsible person in the world, right? There's still a lot of growth that has to happen. So I'm just kind of preempting some of this for those of you who haven't listened from the beginning and know my story. So I had a traumatic event happen. I got clean. 3 months later, I was pregnant with my son, who they said I'd probably never have kids, and I did. Uh, I have beautiful sons. And so I was 21 when I had this baby. I can tell you that through both of my pregnancies, I did smoke. I was a smoker for a very, very, very long time. I cut back at the time of my first son. My doctor said that as long as I don't smoke more than 4 cigarettes a day, I should be okay. And I know some of you are just like dying, but I mean, this was 25 years ago, right? I mean, people smoked on airplanes and in the malls and all kinds of stuff. So, and not making excuses, it was bad. It was a really bad decision. Uh, but I did. I mean, there was still a selfish side of me, and that the addict part of me still needed like that hand to mouth. I mean, my gosh, I smoked. I know I'm getting off subject, but I smoked until like my oldest son's 9th birthday or 10th birthday, and he's 26 now, so I've done smoking like 16 years. But I vaped up until um like 2 or 3 years ago. I just quit vaping. So like there's no like it I mean it takes that long sometimes to break that habit. Um Especially I've been a smoker since I was 13 years old. So anyway. All right, so back to it, right? So I smoked during both of my pregnancies. Um when I was pregnant, I turned 21. And I believe I was about 5 months pregnant. And I went to the bar with my friends, and I sat at the bar, and the bartenders were cousins of my baby daddy. Okay. And so I got served one drink and one shot on my 21st birthday. And those are the only drinks that I had through my entire pregnancy. So I would say for a 21-year-old, that was probably pretty dang good. I never drank anything at all in my second pregnancy, but I did still smoke. Um, and you could probably, I don't know. I mean, they say, okay, well, you can link smoking while you're pregnant to ADHD. Well, you can. My oldest son is ADHD. My youngest is not. So I don't know if that theory really flies. So one of the things that was mentioned in this Facebook post is that I would uh, leave my son with babysitters and go party. Well, the interesting thing is I didn't party anymore, but I did make the mistake of leaving my son with sometimes his father, mostly his grandmother. Now, that wasn't a mistake. His grandmother adored him. She absolutely adored him and worshiped the ground that the little boy walked on. Um, but I put him in too many situations where his father could disappoint him, and I think that was one of the biggest concerns. But interestingly enough, I had roommates that lived with me, and they would babysit my son sometimes. But even still, more interestingly enough, I had babysitters so I could work. I mean, it's no secret I worked at the club. And I worked late nights, and so it didn't make sense getting a baby up in the middle of the night and all the things. So most of the time, he would stay with his grandmother from like Friday until I would pick him up Monday morning. That way I could get 3 full days of work in, and I don't know that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, maybe there is, and maybe there were times that I left him with people I maybe shouldn't have, um, that maybe weren't the most responsible people, but my son was never in danger. And 90% of the time, I would actually say 95% of the time because I was clean by then. 95% of the time, I'm like reliving this through my mind. 95% of the time, he was with a babysitter because I was at work, you know. And it was kind of cool that I got to spend all day with him every day. Like it was kind of cool. I didn't have to put him in daycare. Like he went into a Mother's Day out program just for fun, just to get him socializing with kids. But I got to stay with him a lot and spend a lot of time with him when he was little, which was good. Um, we already talked about the parenting fail about when he got out of the house and walked down the road, and the neighbor knocked on the door and woke me up, right? I had no idea that like I said, he stayed with his grandmother a lot, so I had no idea she had taught him how to unlock doors. Um, I don't know how any parent could have prevented that. I mean, like one of my best friends, I remember her telling me a story that when she was little, she used to sneak out of the house and walk down the street to the strawberry patch, and she was like 2 years old, and her parents wouldn't know where she was. So I'm not gonna call that a parental fail. I'm just gonna call that sneaky little shit. Those kids, right? Because they are sneaky. They're quick and they're sneaky. Um, and another thing that was brought up when my little boy was little bitty, he had a hard time keeping his pacifier in his mouth. I was 21 years old. I was a single mom. I was tired. I was frustrated. Did I Like he was in his swing. He was like, I want to say he's like 4 months old at this point. And he's in his swing and he's swinging. And every time the swing went forward, he would drop his passy out of his mouth and he would scream. So, I mean, how do you fix that? This was before they had the little clips or anything like that. So, how do you fix that, right? I'm a problem solver. So, I got two little itty bitty tiny pieces of scotch tape and I like stuck it to the sides of his cheeks on his pacifier. And guess what? He did just fine and he fell asleep. I only had to ever do that one time. I don't know if he caught the idea of like how to keep his passy in his mouth, but for a long time he actually like held his fist, like he put his hand in a fist and he would hold his passy like in his mouth for himself. So yes, I did. I did that. My son could breathe. He fell asleep. He was just fine and probably not something I should have done, but I don't think that's ever considered any form of child abuse. Uh, Again, 21 years old, single mom. And let's see what else, something else. So I was in the car with my best friend, and my son was in the back seat, and he had this toy, this Buzz Lightyear toy. And that Buzz Lightyear toy, Buzz Lightyear has a helmet, right? So, so he was pissed about something, and he threw the Buzz Lightyear toy, and it hit me in the back of the head while I'm driving down the freaking Dallas tollway, right? And I was like, "Don't do that again." And he did it again and he hit my best friend and he hit me in the head. And my best friend rolled down the window and threw his toy out the window. I mean, have I thrown toys out the windows? Yes. Have I smashed little Game Boys in front of them? Yes. On the floor in the garage when they got busted not following the rules. There are consequences to actions, and I think that's the biggest problem for a lot of these kids that are growing up is there's no consequences for their actions. There's nothing that they're scared of. I paid for that Game Boy. It cost me money, not him. But when I catch you after 9 o'clock at night on your Game Boy and you're supposed to be going to bed and you're 10 years old and you're not minding, then I'm going to get rid of the problem, right? Um, there was a lot more to that Game Boy situation. Uh, it was causing like major attitude problems. Those of you who have kids that get real pissed off that you interrupt them during their video games and they're 10 years old and they're talking back to you, the best thing in the world you can do is yank that damn video game system out of your house and throw it in the trash and don't ever bring it back in. Because that was one of my son's biggest downfalls. I let that babysit him because it kept him pacified and it was a bad mistake. Um, so some of this stems from a Facebook post that I posted. That's where the comments were, right? I think I've told pretty bad on myself at this point. Uh, there was a young mom, and like I'm watching these new generations come up and what's happening. Like y'all need to get a hold of your kids. You need to get a handle on yourself and your kids. Um, let's take for instance, I was at a restaurant eating dinner one night, and this young couple comes in and they have clothes on. I mean, they have to come in a restaurant with clothes, right? There's a requirement. But their baby had a diaper on. And this baby couldn't have been 8 months old, maybe, not walking. She could crawl really well across the table, though, which just floors me that people allow their children to climb across tables. But this baby had no clothes on. She had a diaper on, no socks, no nothing. And it's cold in this restaurant. And she can't communicate and say, Mom, Dad, I'm cold, right? They just think it's cute to bring their baby in a diaper. And it's not, it's just ignorance. Like, they don't think about how their baby feels. They don't put themselves in their baby situation. They just think about themselves, right? I made a comment. I was like, where is that baby's clothes? It's cold in here. Well, what they do, got her clothes out of a diaper bag and put it on her, right? She's still standing on the table and they think it's so cute, y'all. Nobody thinks your baby is as cute as you do. You just need to understand that. I mean, babies are cute and they're sweet, but when your baby's doing stuff like that, it's not cute, you know? You're teaching them bad habits and you're teaching them bad manners from a very early age. These people that let their kids run around a restaurant, I mean, get a damn coloring book. All you people that sit and let your kids play these games and keep themselves busy, like teach them some manners. Oh my God, talk to your damn kids. Talk to your kids. I was in a Dairy Queen one evening. Gage and I went for ice cream. We have a rule at our dinner table. There's no phones at our dinner table, period. We're having conversations. We're talking about highs and lows. Everybody goes around the table. Like we're doing something that when they were young, right? Nobody's on video games or the little game crap they leave on the table for you to pay extra for. That's just stupid. And those are nasty. If you're letting your kids touch them, no wonder your kids get sick because that's nasty stuff. So I'm in this Dairy Queen and this guy's sitting there. He's probably in his 40s and he's got his daughter next to him and she's, I don't know, probably 8 years old. And he's looking at his phone the entire time. And this little girl's curled up next to him and she keeps looking up at him. You know, she lays her head on his shoulder and she keeps looking up at him. And he doesn't pay attention to her, so she goes back to eating. And I watched this happen for like 45 minutes straight. This man never said anything to his little girl that was sitting there next to him, curled up, like dying for his attention. Made me sick to my stomach. It was everything I had to not say something like, hey, dude, like, do you know your daughter's sitting here, right? I mean, I don't understand this. Go back to my Facebook post. I was in the nail salon. Check it out. Nobody wants to hear your kid's cartoon. Ever, for no reason. Now, I understand there are situations, and there are certain situations where you have kids that have autism and things like that, and they don't like things on their ears for headphones. I get it, right? But in those situations, maybe you need to, I don't know, find someone that can keep your child so you can go and do these things in public, right? Because it's not everybody else's, honestly, it's not everybody else's problem to hear what your kid is watching on the iPad or the phone or whatever. Like this happens in the grocery stores. Like, you know, 6-year-old kids or 7-year-old kids that are not autistic are laying in buggies while their parents are pushing them around and they're watching TV. Why don't you teach your kids how to grocery shop? Why don't you teach them how to find things in the store? Oh, because that would be difficult for you to do. Really? Everybody needs to get their heads out of their phones and grow up. I mean, my business is in my phone, but never in a million years would I do that. I want to teach my children independence, and you're just teaching their brains to be mush. It's awful. I mean, kids are coming into kindergarten. One of my friends, she's a teacher, and she was saying, like, these kids are coming into kindergarten without any knowledge. They don't have any knowledge. They don't have any knowledge of, like, they don't, I mean, like, turn the shit off and do ABCs and 1, 2, 3s with your kid. Teach them their colors, read to them, like, do the things, interact with your kids and stop putting a friggin' screen in front of them. Okay, so back to the nail salon. Nobody wants to hear your kids' cartoons, right? This child, this very young mother and father, they could not have been 18 or 19 years old, okay? And I don't know if some of you are watching this or some of you aren't, but I'm probably going to demonstrate this. And I'll talk about what I'm demonstrating. So this girl's sitting in a pedicure chair and she has her baby's back to her. She's holding her bottle with her left hand, right? Feeding her with her back to her. And that's cool. I mean, we do that with our kids sometimes. And then the other hand, she's holding her phone and playing cartoons. This baby is 5 months old. She does not give two shits about what's on that screen, right? She has no idea understanding what's on that screen. And so when I posted, I was like, what happened to bonding with your kids, right? Like, hold them in your arms, look down at them, make eye contact, talk to them while you're feeding them. That is your opportunity to bond with your children. Like, I don't know what's happening out here, y'all. I don't know when it became okay to raise kids with an iPhone. Why is that okay? Why is it acceptable? Why does nobody say anything when this girl's got her phone at full blast and everything? Oh, so cute. No, it's not. Nobody wants to listen to that shit. I had to listen to years of it. I'm not interested. But everybody's afraid to hurt somebody's feelings, but it's the people that are being rude and inconsiderate of others that are hurting people, right? And so I came home and I talked to Danny about it. He's like, why didn't you say something? I was like, because I would have been the asshole in the room and everybody already thinks I'm an asshole anyway. So, you know, I just didn't want to be that person. And the salon owners weren't willing to be that person, even though they knew I was unhappy. They weren't willing to say anything to that person because they wanted their business. That's not okay either, right? I mean, you teach people how to treat you. It shouldn't have been my place to say something. It should have been the salon owner's place to say, hey, we're going to need you to put some headphones in your baby's ears because there's other people here that are trying to relax and enjoy their time in the salon. So, business owners, speak up. Seriously, you have the responsibility to speak up for all of your other customers. You know, the voices are so loud, but the loud voices, y'all, are this little minute percent. You know, and that goes into the whole, you know, the Sound of Freedom music. It's grossed $100 million. Holy crap, $100 million. And they didn't even want that released. Disney had the rights to it for 5 years before it was ever released. And then the whole Jason Aldean song. I mean, come on. People need to grow up. Seriously. Like, the silent majority is coming out. And we have let it go way too long for all these. I don't even know the word I'm looking for. All the immaturity and all the people that need a safe space and throwing a fit and stomping their feet and they're loud about it and they're getting that attention, and that's what it is, because negative attention is better than no attention at all, right? Look, I am not perfect. I am far from it. I fail as a human being in God's eyes. I fail every single day. But I damn sure try to wake up every day and be better than I was yesterday. And I've come a long way. But for someone to try to make me look like a piece of shit from 25 years ago, it says a lot about that person, right? And that person has kind of screwed over a few of our other close friends, and they don't really have much to do with her now. But she'd never shown me that. And you know, one of the things I've learned is that when someone shows you, oh, what happened to my camera? There it went. Oh, I turned sideways. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And it took, gosh, almost, it took almost 30 years for her to show me who she is. But you don't do that to people that you say you love, and you don't do that to people that are friends. And I'm not saying she's perfect either. We all make mistakes. But when you show me who you are and it's not good and it's not good for my life, I'm going to be done with you. That's all there is to it. So it makes me sad. But in the flip side is, why would I want someone like that in my life anyway? You know, why would I want someone that that I have to worry about saying. So maybe if I just call myself out first, then there won't be anybody to call me out. But I'm going to call bullshit on myself, because there's a lot of shitty things that I've done to a lot of people in my life. And I know that. But all of us have. Most of us have. The majority of us have. We've all done shitty things. And the last thing you need is someone bringing up your past from 30 years ago about shitty things you did. And if she's still holding on to that stuff from that long ago, I mean, wow. Right? I get it. Some people don't have someone to keep their kids so they can do things for themselves, but then maybe you should avoid doing those things. Don't bring your kids to the nail salon. People are there trying to unwind and relax. They don't want to hear kids running around. I get it. I've had to do it when I was younger, but I learned the hard way when I disrupted everybody, when my child disrupted everybody, and I didn't even get to finish my pedicure because he was so out of control, right? So I just made other arrangements or just didn't get a pedicure. But I know I'm squirreling all over the place, and there's like 2,984 internet tabs open in my brain right now, all at the same time. I guess the point is, sometimes it's good to leave the past in the past. And sometimes if someone hurts you, just say something instead of trying to hurt them back. If you think someone did you wrong, say something, right? Speak up. But we have got to start speaking up for ourselves. We've got to start speaking up for these kids that are being raised by these kids. That is just awful, because this is our future, right? These are the people that are going to be taking care of us one day when we're old in nursing homes, and that's scary AF, for sure. Not interested. And why is it so hard to just be kind? We were talking about this. We were talking about John, I believe it was John 14, chapter 33, where he talked about, or John 14, verse 33, where he talked about, his new command is love each other, love one another like I love you. And one of the conversations we had with the kids, because, we're part of that ministry, Luke 17:10, and on Wednesday nights at the Smith County Juvenile Detention Center. And the conversation we had was so good with the kids. It was like, why can't we? Why is that so hard? Why is it so hard to just love one another? Why is it so hard to tell somebody how you feel? Why is it so hard to be considerate of others? Like, if we really took the time to think about other people and how we behave affect other people, this world would be a very different place. I've always said everything you do affects everyone around you in one way or another. And it's true. It's so true. So that's why I always put others before me. I always think about other people before I think about myself most of the time. Like I said, I'm still human. I'm not perfect. But I do try and make that effort. But why is that so hard? And how different would the world be if everybody was considerate of others and everyone was kind to one another? It'd be an amazing world. Very amazing. So, anyway, I wanted to get that off my chest. And the thing is, I'm not mad at the person. I'm not mad. I feel sorry for her more than anything, that it ruined a friendship of 30 years over miscommunication, misunderstanding, whatever it may be. That's sad. So, guys, love your friends, say what you mean what you say. If somebody hurts you, tell them. But you can be nice about it. You don't have to be spiteful and revenge and vengeful. You don't have to be like that. That's a choice. That's a choice. So anyway, I'm going to keep this at 30 minutes. Hope you guys have a great week. Peace out, homies. Seriously, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all the things. Thank you again for all your support. Please like and share and subscribe, all of those things. I want to know I'm doing something good. I want to know this isn't just me talking, that I'm reaching people and helping people. Anyway, love you guys so much. Peace out.